Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm gonna show you how to shade the cube realistically. You might be thinking, why start with the cube? Well, shading a basic shape like this helps us really get the hang of light and shadow, which is key to making any drawing look 3D. By the end of this video, you'll know how to make your drawing pop off the page. So stick around and see how it's done. Alright, first things first, let's talk about the light source. Where the light is coming from is gonna affect where the shadows fall on our cube. We've got three main parts to think about. The light area, which is the brightest, the middle tones, which is a bit darker, and the darkest shadows. If we nail these three, our drawing will have that nice realistic look. So remember, light, middle tone and dark shadow. Once you get these down, it will make the big difference in your shading. Alright, let's start shading this cube. I start with the initial lines and create the basic shape of the cube. Then, based on the light source, I sketch the outlines of the cast shadow. In this case, the light source is on the left, so the shadow casts on the right side. Some adjustments with the needed eraser. You can roll the eraser against the paper and soften the initial guidelines. You can use harder leads like H pencils for lighter areas and softer ones like B pencils to get those rich dark shadows. I'm starting with the middle tone right now. Instead of shading in one heavy layer, we're gonna build it up slowly. Layering helps you get more control over how dark or light each area is. Smooth transitions are key here. We want everything to blend nicely from dark to light. Next up is controlling your pencil pressure. If you press down hard, you'll get darker tone, and a lighter touch will give you a softer shade. Now I'm starting with the darkest face of the cube, where there's hardly any light hitting it. For beginners, a good trick is to start by practicing light pressure for lighter areas, and add more pressure where you want it darker. For this is the cube perfect basic exercise. One of the best ways to make shading look realistic is to use gradients. Basically, we are going from dark to light gradually. Start with a bit more pressure for the dark areas, and then ease up as you move towards the light parts. If you've got the blending tool, or even just your finger, you can smooth out the edges to get the super clean gradient. Now I'm cleaning the edges, but not making them super sharp yet. Here are some key points how to properly use a blending stump. First, keep it clean. Make sure your blending stump isn't all loaded up with graphite. If it's getting too messy, just rub it off with some sandpaper or grab a fresh one. A dirty stump can mess up your shading with a random dark spot. Second, go with the flow. Move the stump in the direction of the shading or texture you want. Don't just go all crazy with it. Gentle, controlled strokes. Keep your blend smooth and natural. Third, watch the pressure. Lighten up a bit with pressure, especially for softened gradients. Passing down too hard can make harsh, dark edges that aren't easy to fix and may throw off your whole vibe. Fourth, avoid smudging. Be careful not to spread the graphite all over your places you don't want shaded. Around delicate areas, go easy with the stump so you don't get accidental smears where they don't belong. Fifth, layer it up. Take it slow, building up layer by layer. Start soft and only add more darkness where you need it. This way, you'll get the smooth transitions without overdoing it. Sixth, try different tools. Don't sleep on other tools like Q-tips or cotton balls. especially for larger areas where you want an even softer effect. Sometimes they'll give you a smoother blend than the stump can. Stick to blending softer shadows and gradual transitions. For sharper edges and harder shadows, it's usually best to just use your pencil without blending. Keeps everything looking sharp and defined. As you can see, in this case, when I made mistake, I just erase it and I can fix it again. The place where the cube meets the ground, creating the deep shadow, is called Ambient Occlusion. It's all about bringing those realistic shadow spots where the light can't quite reach. Here's how to do it. For a cube, the darkest areas are where the sides meet, especially in the corners and where the cube touches the surface. These spots get the last amount of light, so they should be the darkest. Start with a light layer in those shadowy areas. Then build it up with more layers to get that smooth fade from dark to light. Grab a soft pencil like B or 2B. In this case, I believe I had 2B, since it's perfect for shading and gives you that nice deep tone. Right under the cube, go for soft diffused shadow. This gives the realistic effect of light fading as it moves away from the object. To make your ambient occlusion pop, leave the brightest parts of the cube untouched. That contrast between the darker corners and lighter areas gives it that cool 3D effect. With these steps, your cube is gonna look like it's really sitting there with solid form and depth. Also, don't forget on reflected light. In shading is the subtle light that bounces off nearby surfaces and gently illuminates the darker, shadowed side of an object. This creates a faint glow along the edge of the shadow, adding realism and depth. When shading, keep this area softer and lighter than the core shadow, but not as bright as the main light source. The reflected light usually shows up on the opposite side of the light source, especially near surfaces where light can bounce back. Adding it correctly makes the object feel more grounded and three-dimensional. Now let's talk about the cast shadow. That's the shadow the cube throws onto the surface. The direction of the light decides where this shadow falls. Like, if the light coming from the top left, the shadow will fall down to the right. The shadow is darkest where it's closest to the cube and gets lighter as it moves away. Start with the dark edge near the cube and then ease up on the pressure as you move out. This helps the shadow look realistic and grounded. The same applies to the edge of the shadow. The closer it is to the corner, the sharper it is, and the further it moves away, the more it blurs. Alright, we are almost there. Let's go over the shadows one more time, adding any little details we've might have missed. This last pass can help even out the transitions and make everything look clean. A quick tip: if you want those shadows to look super smooth, just blend them out a bit more. The smoother the shadows, the more real your cube will look. So today we learned how to shade a simple cube by focusing on light and shadow, using gradients and adding a cast shadow. Mastering these basics will help you big time when you're shading anything else. Now it's your turn. Try these techniques on different shapes, and drop a comment letting me know how it went. Got any questions? Just let me know below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button if you found this helpful. If you subscribe this channel, you will help your algorithm to throw you more such videos. See you next time.